Delighted to welcome back Bill Rammell and Anna Firth, and they've got stories in the papers. Now, to begin with, guys, and everybody watching, for those of you listening, I'll describe this in a minute. I'm going to show you a picture of a 12-year-old girl, right? And that's not her with a beard, but that's her dad there. I want you to look at her and tell me if you think she looks well or not. And now Anna is going to tell us what the problem is. And if you're listening on the radio, she's wearing a Union Jack dress and a Union Jack hat. And she looks a bit like Jerry Halliwell did in the Spice Girls.
Yeah. So this is a story about a school in Rugby called Bilton School, and they have a cultural diversity day, and they ask the children to come in an outfit that demonstrates their culture and make a speech and write a speech about their culture. So this lovely girl, who I think looks, absolutely gorgeous in this picture, came in a Union Jack dress, and she'd written a speech about Shakespeare, about tea, about fish and chips, about the royal family. She'd really done it properly. And
quite inventive then.
Very inventive. And, having had 3 children, these days are a big deal. And a lot of preparation goes into them and finding the right outfit. And what's the school's response? The school's response is to say, no, that's not the sort of culture we want in our school. And apparently she was actually removed.
What culture? That's their own culture, the culture of the country.
Exactly. She wanted to celebrate our own culture. I mean, this is what we should be teaching our children.
Yeah, I mean, look, we do live in a multicultural society, and I think it's right you celebrate cultures, but within a British context. And this is at the heart of the debate about migration and integration. We ought to be recognising British culture, we ought to be celebrating it, and we ought to be celebrating the values that exist within it, that they're a given that everyone here should sign up to.
I am not English, and the Union Jack is a very divisive thing in Northern Ireland, where I'm from. However, I buy into the fact that I have come to mainland UK, and this is the main club, and those are the rules. And I think people, if they come to live in England, or they should buy in to the rules. That's what I think. No debate, no argument. It's not about, various other things. And within that, I can celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and I can do lots of things as well. But this just seems awful that they're reflecting different cultures in their school, but won't reflect a culture like this, which is their own.
And also when you've told the children to actually write a speech about celebrating your culture and your heritage, and a 12-year-old has made that effort. What's
the child's reaction or father's reaction? What do we know? How they responded to this? Or?
Well, I mean, I think he was very disappointed. He certainly doesn't look happy in this picture. I mean, to be fair to the school, they have subsequently apologised. And what they should actually allow this girl to give her speech.
To make her presentation.
Make a presentation to the full assembly and celebrate, her hard work.
Well, as somebody I know very well said to me that her child, during that culture day, St. George's Day it was actually, and their primary school was opposite a big school called St. George's as well, and they weren't allowed to talk about English and St. George and all that sort of thing. And the school made the kids celebrate and recognise Spanish Day that particular day. So I don't know, what is the issue? What is the problem? Get over it.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Briefly then, I want to ask you about this story that came about a young girl, 12-year-old girl. It was their sort of culture day, and she came in a Union Jack dress. However, she was removed. She wasn't allowed to do that. They weren't happy with that. Have you heard of that story?
I've seen a little bit of it on your excellent reporting, and you know, if someone turns up in patriotic clothes to their school, they should get a gold star rather than be penalised. It's not the job of teachers, education authorities, local government, tin pot dictators to do anything that denigrates pride in our country. We seem to have lost sight of that somewhere along the way, and without knowing the full details of this individual case, people should absolutely be able to fly our national flag, celebrate our national colours, and celebrate the wonderful British history.
Andrew Griffith is the Shadow Business and Trade Secretary. Good talking to you today. Thank you very much indeed for answering all those questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much to talk about this morning, so much getting you talking and you involved, and what's got a lot of people just scratching their head basically is that 12-year-old girl. 12-year-old girl was, she dressed up for Culture Day at school, and she was punished by her teachers after wearing a Union Jack dress on that day.
Yes, so Courtney, which is her name, her father claimed that his daughter was told that Culture Day was not for her, despite the school saying it was a special day in which all cultures would be celebrated.
Except British culture.
Of course,
right?
you can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been racist. Why would you dare?
Well, she prepared a whole speech.
I
right?
know, so sweet.
Yeah, and this is what she wrote. She wrote, "Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about my culture, British culture, and why it's important to me."
In Britain, we have lots of traditions, including drinking tea, our love for talking about the weather, and we have the royal family.
We have amazing history, like kings and queens and castles and writers like Shakespeare. It's also modern, diverse and always changing music, fashion and food from all around the world, blending into daily life. And
let's not forget fish and chips.
Well, it's also the way we speak, our humour, our values of fairness and politeness, and the mix of old traditions and new ideas. But sometimes at school, we only hear about other cultures, although not like that bit, which is great, because learning about different countries is interesting and important.
But it can feel like being British doesn't count as a culture just because it's the majority. I think culture should be for everyone, not just for people from other countries or backgrounds. Being British is still a culture, and it matters too. It's part of who I am.
So let's celebrate all cultures, whether they come from far away or right here at home. Thank you. Well, I think
what's wrong with that? That's lovely.
I would give her a gold star for that.
Would. Do you think her dad helped her a bit there when it says not all just about the... I think there's a little bit of a political message in there, but the children might be feeling it as well.
Well, the sentiment is absolutely right, but a spokesman for Stowe Valley Trust, which runs this secondary school, said it offers its unreserved apologies to the family, and they told Warwickshire World at Bilton School, "We're proud of the diversity of our students and the rich heritage they bring to our community.
We are committed to fostering an environment where every pupil feels respected, valued and included."
Except this one.
Unless, of course, if you're British.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely absurd.
You see, the thing is...
what's wrong with people?
You know, I mean, I'm Irish, and I can tell you, and Northern Irish, and I could wax lyrical. I know exactly who we are, what we are, where we're going, what we stand for, what's good about us, what's bad about us, what I love, what I hate. You know, I could go on forever, but I'm very confident in who I am. And the thing about being Northern Irish, a lot of people, myself included, can feel very British as well, because, you know, that's the way it is, and we have such close ties and connections. I can also feel very Irish. You know, because you get it both ways. So it depends what side of the border you're looking at and whatever. So I never really see any of that identity thing and culture thing as a problem. Do you find it a problem being British or being English?
Well, the thing is, I was born in Newcastle, so I'm a Geordie. What's odd is the perception that because I have a darker shade, that I am sort of culturally aligned with Ghana, which is where my parents are from. Yeah. But I'm not. I've only been there. I've only been there twice. When I got there, I was like, "Where's the ketchup? This bread is weird." I was literally, you know what I mean? And whilst I respect the culture, which I'm grateful to have because my parents have it, it's not really my culture.
No, exactly. And I agree with you. I can see how you can be side by side with someone. Say, for instance, your parents. I don't know your parents, but I don't know. Say they saw themselves as totally Ghanaian. You can respect that. You can see that. If that was them, that's what they were born into. You're born into this.
I know, and that's all I know. So you know. But anyway, I love having the alternative interest, which is nice. Yeah. You know, and I like the fact that, you know, I can go back to Ghana. Although when I did go to Ghana when I was very young, I remember the Ghanaians saying these kids were following us and telling us to go back to where we came from. I was like, hold on a minute. It was like being in a sort of weird reality.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so much I could sit and talk about here. But are you comfortable? Are you comfortable in who you are and what you are?
I want to move on to this story about a young 12-year-old girl who wore a Union Jack dress on a day at school which was meant to be celebrating all cultures, and she was removed because apparently that's not what she was allowed to be doing.
She wrote a really good essay about Britain and what being British was all about. It was really lovely and it was really thoughtful.
Really lovely, yes. And she even mentioned Shakespeare and all of that. So what are your thoughts on that? That she was told off for wearing this dress. She was removed from the whole situation. I know the school did apologise later, but the fact that that was even a thing in this country where we're not...
Being British wasn't regarded as a culture.
It wasn't being regarded as a culture. Or diverse culture at that.
That seems... it sounds... I mean, obviously, that's the first I've heard of this story. That seems really bizarre. Obviously, you know... I can imagine that anyone who's British and identify, you know, it seems perfectly reasonable to be wearing our national flag. I've seen when we've had those sort of events at schools in my constituency, lots of kids turning up in their football shirts, their England football shirts, or maybe their GB kind of athletic shirt when it's been in a, you know, an Olympic year. Yeah. People clearly feel that that's part of their culture, but, you know, I can't speak to what the thinking was in that particular school. Seems really strange.
OK.